Hi everyone, my name's Jack. Welcome back to the Red Path for another episode of WAAC Weekly. We're up to episode 9 now, and that name is still stuck around. So, good job everyone, I guess. Okay, welcome back to WAAC Weekly, the show where we look at Team Red Path news as well as world eaters out in the world. So we'll start with the roundup. A bit of a quiet week last weekend. I think people are quietening down in the lead up to the codex, but we're just sort of anticipating the new codex coming out. Obviously, it hasn't been announced yet. We are expecting that probably next weekend at the end of the LVO weekend, but we will see, I guess. So last weekend there were 19 games. All at RTTs, including a 4-round RTT. I'm calling it an RTT plus, but yeah. There was 1 2-1, a 2-2, the 4-round one, 3 1-2s, and an 0-3. That meant the overall win rate was unfortunately down at 36.8%. Not great, but again, expect that to rise into the new codex. So, I guess the big news is we've got LVO in 2 weeks. Lots of big World Eaters names in attendance. Amazingly, there are 8 World Eaters players at LVO, including Dara and Jamie. Mark is also going, Ben as well. Ben and Mark, who are second and third, in the running for best in sub faction at the moment. So again, as I mentioned before, potentially that same weekend is when we're going to have pre-orders announced. It's an exciting time. The next couple of weeks, I think it'll be pretty busy for us. I know for myself, we've obviously got quite a lot of videos to record, or planned to record, depending on how much GW and leak people drip feed us for, internet points. But I've also got a fair amount to paint, which I guess I'll go to a little bit at the end of the video as a tease. So we did also have 2 members of Team Red Path in action this week. So Paul Bennett, better known as Krieg in the Discord, and Scott Belby. Apologies if I have butchered your name. FairRarity on Discord. Neither of them ran World Eaters. Krieg was running Custodies, and we will get into his list in a sec. FairRarity was running Word Bearers. So let us start with Krieg. So Krieg was at the Adelaide Uprising 2023 ITC Championships, which looks like possibly the biggest event in Australia, of the Australian calendar. I think I've heard of it before, so yeah. So it's 228 player event. Krieg went 4-4, finishing 139th, so pretty good outing, and I think he said he hadn't played Custodies in quite a while up until this point. Obviously this was running Arcs of Omen. I think he posted it and then called it Ride of the Valkyries. So 2 show captains on jet bikes, one of them being the really hard to kill fella. Salvo launches, a squad of sword and board, 3 individual Terminators, and then 15 bikes. Okay. Sure. Okay, and Emperor's Chosen for the 4-up shrug, I guess, which is nice. So I don't really know what much of this does. I know that the first shield captain is the really hard to kill one, right? He's got shrugs and invulns and lots of wounds and all of that good stuff. And it's just 15 bikes. That's a lot of wounds, and they're really fast and quite killy. And then screening out the custodians, the Terminators, the individual Terminators is a ball ache as well. So I'd imagine this scored behind enemy lines like no one's business. I'm not sure what the custodians secondaries got updated to, so maybe you'll have to enlighten me on that. But 4-4 is a pretty good record, especially looking at the armies that he lost to. So he got wins against White Scars, Grey Knights, Imperial Knights, and Chaos Knights, which kind of makes sense. There's a lot of salvo launchers in this list, so I'd imagine Knights are not that much of a problem for it. His losses were to 2 lots of New Guard, so Born Soldiers both, Emperor's Children, yeah, fair. And Bieltan Eldari, which, yeah, again, fair enough. So yeah, good showing. A very big event by the sounds of Australia. Um, yeah. So then second up was Scott, so FairRarity in the Discord, who took word bearers to a 14-player RTT in Jacksonville, North Carolina, in the US. His loss was to the Castellans of the Rift, Army of Renown, which I've never seen before. I think that's the Phobos one in the Rift War book, which was, funnily enough, there were narrative books released alongside Nephilim, Nachmund, one of the two. Yeah, there's an Army of Renown in one of them, and it's the All Phobos army. So, fine. Castellans of the Rift, apparently they have some bullshit. And the guy who's running them is Ultramarine Successors as well, on top of that. So, fine, I guess. His wins were against Black Legion and Creations of Bile, which is pretty good. Although I think, yeah, that was pretty good. Black Legion are looking stronger, Creations of Bile are looking a bit weaker now with the 4-up before to proc their fight death. But, yeah, Black Legion are looking decent because now Abaddon benefits most strongly in Black Legion because you can't put them in Supreme Command, so you can't get the extra stuff. Although that might have changed. I missed the wording on the FAQ because I'm just not really considering running Abaddon anymore. But that is a tangent. Anyway, let's have a look at the list. So Demon Prince with Wings, that's the standard Nurgle one. So to remove invulns, and then the Demon Weapon ignores phase caps. Gaze of the Gods, that makes him harder to kill, I think. Is that a 4-up invuln? Possibly. Dark Apostle with Illusory Supplication, fair enough. Disco Lord with Flames of Spite, Intoxicating Elixir is the once per game phase cap. So that makes sense. Makes him a bit of a dick shift. Master of Possession, Libra Hereticus, Patch Flesh, Mutates Invigoration. Yeah, that's pretty good too. Mark and Zinch Legionaries with an icon to make AP1 bolters and AP2 chain cannon. That's pretty good without Armor of Contempt. Mark of Khorne with the heavy chain axe and the power fist. Again, pretty good. And then, yeah, Chosen Bomb instead of Terminators now. And for a fraction of the price, which is good to see. Mark of Zinch for the AP1 bolters. Couple of power fists in there and rune. So I'd imagine that's where Illusory Supplication is going. Correct me if I'm wrong. Possessed in there. 5 Possessed. 3 Venom Crawlers to help buff the Master Possession and also hit some fast damage too, which is pretty good. And then 2 squads of Walk Talons. I know that Walk Talons in particular are pretty good in Word Bearers because you can get 4 rerolls to hit and wound on the charge, just being Word Bearers. Yeah. And then a Rhino to carry presumably either the Chosen or the 2 squads of Legionaries up the field. So yeah, a cool list. Word Bearers is something I've not explored too much, but already it's cool to see people taking advantage of the different compulsory slots. So like the 5 fast attack there is really cool because I think previously we've been quite pushed for elite slots, and now I'm not sure that's necessarily the case, especially into our new book, but we've done videos on that. So I think fast attack is where it's at now. And into our new book as well, I think fast attack will be where it's at, and that'll be the compulsory slot we take. But we shall see. It's a new Dimensions list building, and anyone who's watched for a while knows that I love Dimensions to list building. That's part of the fun of the game for me, is list building. So, yeah, so well done to both Paul and Scott. Good repping the team. And thanks for posting in the Discord that you were going to these events, because otherwise I would have missed them. So, if anyone else from the team watches this and I have missed any of your events, please post in the same channel that they posted in, which I believe is TRP Events. I think only you can see it, so don't worry about other people spying on you. If you don't want me to report on it, then mention that when you post the events. Cool. So we'll move on to World Eaters Tournament performances, noteworthy performances. As I said, it'll be a bit of a short one this week because it's been a bit of a quiet week. So we had Ryan Totten go 2-2 at this 4-person event. This 4-round event, sorry. The the P&P Invitational in Ottawa, Canada. He finished 6th, so pretty good showing. He lost to Dark Angels, which I believe was run by StatCheck's Jeremy Atkinson. I may be wrong on that. And Custodes as well. And then won against an Emperor's Children list that had 8 Blastmasters in it, so fair play to that. And Grey Knight's Sword Bearers list. So then his list. This is a new layout. I found the app for this to get it into this layout, and it's quite nice. So I will, if I can remember, I'll link it in the video description because I like how tidy it is. I mean, this is like a great list. it's a good, fun last hurrah kind of thing. So Flames of Spite and Zal for a very killy Demon Prince. Exalted Champion with Mark of Khorne for the reroll 1 to wound. 10 Cultists, presumably for backline, looking at this list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squads of 8 Berserkers. 3 Rhinos to carry some of them. A Master of Executions with Violent Urgency to help them out of the Rhinos. 3 individual Obliterators, hopefully for behind enemy lines and not actual firepower, because you can convince me all you like, guys. I don't think Obliterators are that good for anything other than Horde clearance or dropping in from behind enemy lines. And a real-life Helldrake used in a competitive list that has done relatively well. So, I know there are certain people in the Discord that will very much appreciate that. So, this one's for you guys, I guess. So as I say, 2 and 2, finished 6th. Really strong stirring. It's a really strong field as well. It's an invitational event, so you'd expect it to be. But yeah, 2 and 2 is really strong. And then finally, we have an event in Germany. Dennis Herzog at a 33-player RTT in Düsseldorf, Germany, so a big RTT as well. Finished 13th, still using Nephilim, important to note by the looks of it. He went 2 and 1. So he had a loss to Farsight Enclave's Tau and beat a Black Legion list and also a Mixed Demons list that, as per, had Be'lakor in it. So his list, Zal on a Demon Prince, again, seems to be cropping up a fair amount. Flames of Spite on an Exalted Champion with Gorefather. I remember when that used to be a thing much more, when he could benefit from his own full reroll to wound, but I guess this does the job, because Flames of Spite now does that. For a whopping 4 mortal wounds on a 6 to wound now. I guess you just fish at that point. Squad of Cultists for backline. 8 Berserkers, 5 Berserkers, 5 Berserkers, 6 Berserkers, presumably points. Master of Execution with Hatred Incarnate for the full rerolls to fish. Possess Bomb with Black Rune. A Land Raider. 5 Havocs with autocannons. Interesting choice. And then 3 Obliterators. Also interesting choice. Maybe I'm going to have to climb back down off slamming on Obliterators. And then a Rhino. So, Rhino, Land Raider. That doesn't carry all of them? Land Raiders are still 10, right? That doesn't carry all of them as far as I'm aware. So one of those squads is foot slogging. And then I'm going to assume the Master of Executions is in with the 8. The Master of Executions and the Exalted Champion are in with the 8. I'm going to hope and pray in the Land Raider for the party bus. And then the 2 5s in the Rhino. And then the 6, I'm not really sure. Maybe they're backline too. Havocs, especially in Nephilim, with Armor of Contempt, Havocs with autocannons don't feel that good. But clearly they've worked. And into Black Legion as well. So he did beat an Armor of Contempt army with these. And then as I said, I don't know about Obliterators. I don't know why 3 has done well. I can't see it. Please convince me still. I mean, it doesn't really matter now because we're about to lose them, I guess, but I don't see it. I don't understand. But they are using... Why is he 23 points over? I'm very confused now. Oh, they're using new points. They are using new points. Okay. So I don't really know what happened at this event. It looks like they're using new points because I think some of those vehicle upgrades are free. but they are using Nephilim detachments. I don't know. This sounds a bit like Jamie's event from last weekend. Last weekend, when they had a mix and match of balanced data slate points and Nephilim as well. But you could also use arcs if you wanted to. So it's kind of the Wild West by the sounds of it. Yeah, so that's kind of noteworthy performances. As I said, bit of a quiet week this week, so this will be a bit of a shorter one, I think. So in terms of units to watch, I'm hesitant to try and give any advice on this because obviously our book is coming really soon. I think, as was kind of expected, Terminator seemed to be gone, although it was a very small sample size this week, and seemed to be replaced by Possessed or Chosen at the cheaper price point because I think the 2-up is worth less now. I'm not telling you to go out and buy Possessed unless you have a decent conversion for 8 pound in mind. If you're a World Eaters player, if you're not a World Eaters player, go buy Possessed. But if you are, you can convert them to 8 pound fairly easily. Even Jamie's been doing it, and we'll get him to do a hobby video about it because they actually look pretty good. And yes, that is a tone of surprise. Yeah, I mean, on my hobby desk, I've got a converted Juggernaut Lord just to be ready from day one, I guess, because I think I'm going to want either Avocado or a Juggerlord. I've got 20 Berserkers just because I had loads of Mark 6 Marines lying around. I still need to make the last 10. I ran out plastic glue. And then I have 2 fully magged War Dogs that I'm planning to run as Executioners for now, but I could be convinced on Brigands. I need to build another 2 as well, so I have the option of running 3. Basically, I have 4 bodies, and I'll probably build all 4 at once because I don't think they'll be that slow to paint for me because I'm going to cheat loads, basically. With lots of part assembly priming and then just stick the bits on, and that's about it. Anyway, you don't come to me for hobby advice, I hope. So just wanted to take a quick look at the last section, the Great Game. So where I'm looking at the number of God-aligned Legion players for each god. This week the World Eaters went up, I think, 1 to 194 with submitted scores around the world. I think there is definitely an element of people not wanting to play with the old book when the new book is just around the corner, which I think is fair enough. And I am very much the same. I don't have any more events until the 18th of February now, so which I'm kind of hoping is I'll be able to use the new book at. Which, yeah, I just need the book to be out on the 11th because I've already messaged Latio and he said I can use it if it's out on the 11th. So, Emperor's Children are at 266, Thousand Suns are at 1177, and Death Guard are currently in the lead at 1355. So, I think it was quite a week for tournaments all round. I think everyone is kind of like doing all their RVO prep and then going into RVO this week, or travelling for RVO this week, just gone. So, that kind of makes sense. I mean, obviously we'll have quite a lot to report on next week because, as I mentioned, there are 8 players, 8 World Eaters going to RVO, and there might be a couple of the ITC team who are not playing World Eaters going to the RVO. So tune in next week at around this time for an update on that. We might even have Dara and Jamie on Dara and Jamie on, depending on jet lag for Dara and just tiredness in general. To go through their experience at LVO. And we will also... No, I'm not going to announce that yet. Teasers. Anyway, so if you haven't joined the Discord, we're having a lot of good discussion in there at the moment. At this precise moment, I'm getting the shit memed out of me for asking for some helpful feedback on what I should put on my ITC team jersey. And the Discord is being incredibly unhelpful, as kind of expected. But if you too want to be incredibly unhelpful, join the Discord. We have good discussions, not just about that. We have a lot of discussion about the new codex, speculating on units, speculating on builds, with people testing the new builds from the scattered rules that we have as best they can and giving feedback, which is great, really helpful. And we are at the stage now where we can do that with a decent amount of the picture, past accepting a few units. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me my audio is rubbish, because it still is, although I am hoping to make massive improvements in that tomorrow. I think it's supposed to arrive. Yeah. Tell your friends about us. Shout us out to other people. I don't know. Spread the word of the Red Path. We've got some very exciting things coming in the near future. Hopefully with the Codex release, or around the Codex release, or shortly after the Codex release. Can you tell I'm vamping for time? Anyway, most importantly, stay healthy, stay safe, and kill main burn.